Hey friends, it's a very important day, Good Friday. So 2,000 or so years ago, we were all forgiven. Everything's good. I don't have my list, but I've been watching these videos of people who have had like near-death experiences and things like that. One dude like had a perforated stomach lining or perforated esophagus way down low, died. He was dead for quite a while, like 30 minutes or so, and told his story. There was another guy that had an embolism, heard his story. Another guy, Australian dude, world traveler, whatever, out in the ocean, got stung by 4 box jellies, died, and they all came back and they had these stories, which it's not unusual, right? But the amazing thing is the descriptions were all the same, and then there was this kid in Nebraska. They had a movie about it. His dad wrote a book. I don't know. I can't explain these things, you know, and you might think it's fishy. I don't know. But he had an appendix rupture. He died, and it was only for a few minutes, but, his time from his story was pretty extensive. A lot of memories that he had. And he's forgotten a lot of it, but he still remembers a lot of things. He's like, probably 20 now? I don't know. He's older. He's grown. But all these people described the same thing. Vibrant colors, people were there. Jesus was there, described him. And then, it's been probably 10 years ago, maybe 15. There's a girl in Idaho, somewhere up in that area. When she was like 4 years old, she started having visitations. Jesus would come get her and take her to heaven. And everybody thought she was kind of nuts, but she was, as a little kid, needing to get all this information in her head out. She had all these memories, and she wanted to, just put it out. She wrote a bunch of poems, and then she started scribbling, sketching. And she started sketching all this stuff. Then she went to like pastel chalk, and then went to actual paint, not pastel chalk, but color chalk. Then she went to paint, and she started painting. Now, one of her paintings is called The Prince of Peace, and it's a painting of Jesus. Of course, she didn't have a model. She was struggling to get a model for the picture. She knew what she had in her head, and then they had a guy doing some work at their house. And he was a carpenter. He knocked on the door, and she looked up at this guy. She was like, I think 8 when she did this. But anyway, she looked up, and she saw this dude, and she's like, you're the guy I want to use as a model. And the guy's like, you're 8, So they talked him into it. He was pretty reluctant about it. He modeled for it, and she did the picture in her head of with the assistance of this model. And then all these people that have had these near-death experiences, they see that painting and say, yes, that's the guy I talked to. That's Jesus. So, if you have any doubts or any questions, look up some of those stories. They're all over YouTube. Don't fall for the bullshit ones. There's some, I'm not going to say bullshit because it seems offensive, but harder to believe, right? Somebody says, well, Jesus hugged me and things like that. You don't want to doubt their story, right? That just doesn't help out in any way whatsoever. But you go to these deals that are, people that are thousands of miles apart and had a similar experience, and they look at this girl who didn't die. She's been, drawn to heaven multiple times, many times, and paints these pictures, and people look at these pictures that have had these experiences and say, yes, those pictures are 100% accurate. So that's, that brushes away, well, in my mind, I'm a believer, so I don't have any doubt anyway, but I would think that if you did have doubt, that would brush away a lot of it. No pun intended. But anyway, it's been a long week. I went to my doctor, and he said, he said, try orange juice, instead of coffee. You got to cut back on the coffee and do your OJ. And I responded in kind. I said, well, does it matter whether I use Bailey's or vodka? And he really didn't like that much. So whatever, Doc. But no, still, just drinking water and OJ, some pop. But I'm not going to have any alcohol until next week because I feel that there was such a great sacrifice made for us, forgiving all our sins. Something real important. And, if you look at the stories and read the words, Jesus said, I'm going to go back. I'm returning to heaven, and I'm going to make a place for you in heaven. So they said in the story that, when he died, all of the, I guess there in purgatory, there were, purgatory in general, kind of like a prison. And it says all the saints were released. Well, I'm thinking that was probably everybody that had died. I don't know. I'm not going to claim to know. I'm just saying what the Bible says, what the story says, that the saints were released and went to heaven. So Jesus went to heaven to make a place for us. So before that, there wasn't a place, according to him. If you listen to him, it's like, no, we probably would, because the Old Testament says, there was purgatory, and you'd have to sit and wait in purgatory for Jesus to come back. Sorry, I just whacked my piston. It's a work of art, really is. Love these things. Anyway, but it jives. The stories jive. The descriptions jive. These people, they wouldn't lie. And when they tell their story, they're absolutely in tears. And I would imagine it's probably the most moving experience of their life. I sure would like to go, but we all got to wait our turn. And, we have to try to be good people. We have to help those around us. Today, just for instance, there was kind of a plumbing issue up north, not at work. A family member up north had some plumbing issues. And Dad's like, hey, do you want to go with me up there? Yeah, but I've got to try to put this rear main seal in the Subaru and try to get this thing fixed, So he's like, well, I'll come help you do that, and then you come help me. Well, that's fine. So I went up there, we helped, we took up some stuff. There was nobody there to fix the problem, so we left the materials, the tools that we had for them, and then had some lunch and saw Dwayne and just, did a few things. Come back here, and Dad's like, well, I'm going to go on home. I said, well, follow me up to the store. It was 4 miles, I think. It's 4 miles away. So I drove the 4 miles. I'll be damned if that Subaru's still leaking out the rear main. Not as bad, but it's still dripping, and I don't know what to do to fix the problem. But I'm going to have patience, and I'm going to ask for some help from for some divine intervention. And anyway, I was like, well, it's still dripping. I'm going back home. He's like, okay, I'm going home. I'm done for the day. Okay. So no sooner than I get home and he gets home, I'm doing chores and shit, trying to get things rounded up for Sherry. The phone rings. Yeah, it's Dad. Oh, I just got a call. So-and-so down here, they're on the side of the road. Something's going on with the car. I was like, okay. So he comes over, picks me up. I loaded some tools up, threw some shit in his truck, and we're headed down the road. And he's like, damn it, every time he has a problem, he calls me. And I said, well, where's he at? Oh, he's out of town. He's down south visiting his mom right now. I was like, oh, okay. He said, but damn it, I'm not married to her. She's not my wife. Why do I have to go do this stuff? But, I'm not going to say anything, and I'm not going to plagiarize him. Well, I don't even know what the fuck that means. I'm not gonna harp on him because he's my dad and he's stressed. Not really stressing, but he's done a lot for these people, and they just come to expect it, just without any kind of return. So he's kind of bothered about it, but inside and up here, I'm like, it's a real blessing. It's a real blessing that I get to go out and help somebody out, right? Just try to go out and fix what's wrong or get them home or something, whatever. It's just a blessing that we're blessed with these burdens to help those in need. That's the way I look at it. And I think that's a good message. I think it was a wonderful opportunity. I'm blessed to have those opportunities. I'm blessed to have the skills. And and my dad. I'm blessed with my dad because he's like the bomb. He's been doing this since sometime in the 50s. I mean, my grandpa had him welding tubing together for their racing go-karts with a torch and some steel rod. I don't have either handy, but that's what he welded with. Don't ask my dad what brand of welder he used, because he'll say oxyacetylene. He didn't use a stick welder until he was like a grown man working for a contractor. When he was a kid in the shop, we're talking 10 years old, he had the torch and the dark glasses and torch and some steel rod welding this tubing together for these racing carts. He's been doing this forever. So to have him along with is the bomb, because he's like, he'll get out his knife and he'll start tapping on shit. Like, you got a mass airflow sensor right here, and the car's stumbling and stuttering and running like shit, and he'll take his knife and he'll tap on that sumbitch, and all of a sudden the car will clear up, and he's like, yep. Well, it's not an O2 sensor, it's a mass airflow sensor. He'll say, yep, mass airflow sensor needs to be cleaned, and we'll take it apart, and sure enough, there'll be a little piece of cotton in there or something from a cottonwood tree, I mean, it's just, he's magical. He's like Merlin the magician when it comes to cars. So it's a blessing to have him around too. But it's a blessing to have you to receive the message that I'm putting out today. I don't want to offend anybody by being a preacher. I'm not a Bible thumper. But I'm definitely hardcore when it comes to the sacrifice and the resurrection, right? It's so important, because it was for us, for all of us, for no reason at all, just for love. So spread the love. Have a wonderful weekend. Spend some time with your families on Sunday, all weekend, whatever. If you have a couple drinks, man, more to you. I'll have a couple for you Monday. But until then, I'm going to continue to keep kind of my vow, if you will. I mean, it's not much, right? No drinking yet, but there's more to come. I have to work Monday through Friday, but it is what it is. Maybe I'll have a drink in the evening after work or something, but it's not something that's important to me. But I almost slipped up. Because Just Russ called me, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I haven't seen you forever. I want to come down to the shop. And I said, come on down. We'll have a couple beers. And after I got off the phone, I'm like, fuck, I almost slipped up. So we were coming down the road, he was bringing me back, and I unloaded my tools. He's like, I feel like a beer. What about you? And I said, I'm not drinking any beer right now, not until after Sunday. So it's just my thing. Don't make it yours. Do your own thing. Have your own relationship with the man above. It's very important. Give thanks. Be appreciative of those opportunities to help others, and follow through with it when you can. God bless you all. Have a nice weekend.